Zane,
Yes.
did you ever wonder why we measure whiskey by proof?
Sure.
Or why Bourbon sold on 100 proof?
Are you basically trying to tell me that today we're going to talk about the what, when, and why of proof?
Today we're going to talk about the what, when, and why. Proof is how we measure whiskey, why Bourbon sold on 100 proof whiskey, and maybe even why, as you drink whiskey, you tend to go for the higher proofs.
So the what, when, where, and why of whiskey.
100 proof whiskey.
Right after this. Oh, welcome to Whiskey Pop, and I am again overly excited, Zane.
And I'm halfway as overly excited as Zane Jeff.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good, right?
It's
That's
us,
good.
it's you know.
Hey, you know, you got us. That's what you get.
And suddenly we turned into Italians.
Oh, yeah, because we drink whiskey. Whiskey makes you go Italian.
It makes you say
It makes you
like
do
this.
the things that go like this.
I mean, we were throwing out there, obviously, in the intro,
So we're going to talk about 100 proof whiskey today?
we're going to talk about proof.
Proofing, 100 proof whiskeys, Bourbon, why it's 100 proof, or why we even use proof term.
And why we even give a shit.
Don't sass me.
But before we give 2 or 3, we're going to try some whiskeys.
Now, look, we've had
We've had,
Smoke Wagon before.
but this is Smoke Wagon small batch. We have had the uncut, unfiltered.
That is right.
This is Smoke Wagon small batch. So, I mean, we had to jump on the wagon.
Damn it. Yes, we did.
So I say we crack this open, we drink a little, and
Yeah.
then we can talk about 100 proof. Because believe it or not, this is 100 proof whiskey too.
It is straight on the nose. We poured it up.
You ready to do this?
Are we gonna smell?
Yeah, we should always smell.
Did you see how I just totally whipped it? Grabbed it in
You
my
totally
glass?
like missed
went-
that glass. Want to try again?
I got it now.
I got mine. Oh. Oh, Zane.
Isn't it cute?
Is it going to be a good 100 proof whiskey day? It's going to be a good 100 proof whiskey day.
I better only take a sip.
Let's take a sip.
Well, we're waiting.
You know, but we can't talk about this whiskey yet.
That's because we want to talk about it on a Friday, which happens to be,
Second pour.
and that's where we tell you everything that us as experts know about the whiskey we drink today.
We're still in that expert thing? We're not experts.
I don't know. How many whiskeys have we had this year?
A lot?
That makes us.
Not experts.
Well, we keep trying.
Makes us whiskey drinkers.
So proof me, buddy.
Proof you wrong, huh?
Prove me wrong.
So you have ever wondered why we use the term proofing when it comes to whiskey?
Yeah, absolutely. This is like a thing. You're like,
So why?
explain to me the lingo.
Yeah, exactly. So proofing actually comes from the 1500s. The
14th century.
back in the 1500s.
Oh wait, the 16th century.
Yeah, getting ready to say you're going the wrong direction. Math. So back in the 1500s, alcohol
Yes.
or liquor was measured by the amount of alcohol in there. So they taxed based on that amount. So, you know, depending on the amount of percentage of alcohol in the drink, they would base the tax off of that.
So you'd have a gold coin and they'd say you owe this much amount. You'd like chop a piece off your coin, get the right weight, and you throw it. That sounds complicated.
It does sound complicated. That's why they developed proofing. So now proofing was done by 2 ways. So
Okay.
one way they would take gunpowder or gun pellets or something, powder pellets, something like that, and they would soak the liquor in it.
Okay.
And then they would try to light it on fire, you know, so they'd come over and they'd be like,
Yeah.
and if it ignited, then it was proof that it was a good alcohol, and if it didn't, it was below proof. So another way they would do it is they would pour the whiskey in something and light it. If it lit, then they called it above proof. And if it didn't light, it was below proof. So that would decide if they could tax it or not.
That's fascinating.
Now, the interesting thing about that is they also found that it started to light around 100 proof. Have you ever noticed that as we evolve as whiskey drinkers, we tend to float closer toward higher proofs of 100 plus?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So why do you think that is?
I mean, it's one of those things. Like, there's the richness, the full bodiness, the spice, the whatever. It can pop harder. This is my opinion, not my expert opinion. Just based because there's more of the punch behind.
So it's not about just getting drunker. It's easier to get drunker from 100 proof or anything like it's not.
I guess I never
or it's
thought-
not because we're acclimated to the alcohol at the 80, 90 level that it takes the 100 to really get us.
Yeah, it's like the difference between having like a old school like Connecticut shade wrappered cigar, and then you have a Maduro. You start out with the Connecticut shade and you smoke those because they're super smooth and light. But over time, you start going to that Maduro heavy, more in there because this is more boring.
Maybe that's what
This
it
has
is.
got more stuff.
Maybe it's just 100 proof.
You're
plus
never
is
thinking
more
about like,
exciting.
I just got to get that more nicotine, or I need to get more drunker. No, we're trying. It's this enjoyment of the hobby. That's why you lean that direction.
So you're saying as we progress into 100 plus, it flavors change.
Oh,
The
Absolutely.
all that helps. That higher proofing helps. So I think they understood that too back in the 1500. You know, the 1500s. They're like, if it's 100 plus, it's 100 proof. People are gonna buy it more often.
I'd buy that for $1.
But see, that brings up that whole bottle and bond thing, right? So you
Sure,
know as well as
right.
I do that bottle and bond is 4 years aged in a barrel. It has to come out at 100 proof.
right.
So that's the stipulation. So why do you think the government landed at that 100 proof? If you compare that to what we've been talking about, so the U.S. considers, let's put it this way, the U.S. law considers alcohol proof to be twice the ABV, right?
Sure.
So that's how we measure our alcohol. So that means if it's 100 proof, then it's
50% ABV. Alcohol by volume.
this proofing allowed that created a trust. It allowed the consumer to understand they can trust the producer, because at the time people were producing whiskey by buying like barrels. Remember we talked about this in our bottle and
sure.
bond episode, where they were buying barrels and mixing like tobacco and
Yeah.
and this made it where the people buying it knew that this bottle and bond 100 proof was a better quality whiskey. Remember we're talking at 100
Yeah.
plus.
Sure.
Tastes better. It's a better whiskey.
You're not getting snake oil tonic that's supposed to make your hair grow or make.
So that made
you
it
want
easier
to
for the
roll.
distilleries to sell their whiskey, but it also made it easier for the government to put a tax stamp and tax the alcohol based on the 100 proof. What's that sound like?
Oh, behave.
Meanwhile, back in England in the 1500s,
So we kind of adopted by putting a green stamp on, like, you know, a bottle and bond. It allowed the government to say, okay, 100 proof means we can tax the out of this whiskey.
yeah, but that bond in today's whiskey is a certificate of.
Authenticity.
Yeah, it's not there. You're not getting tobacco spit in your alcohol because it's being monitored by the government.
That is true, but it also makes it easier to tax.
But this is 100%, but it's not bottled.
This is not bottle and bond, but because bottle and bond and 100 proof screams better whiskey,
Yeah.
tons of distilleries and whiskey producers produce a 100 proof whiskey plus
Yeah.
because they feel like that's what we want.
I mean, is it what we want?
Oh, it's what we want. Now, over time, the bottle and bond thing kind of died out a little bit. People weren't so grabby with 100 proof whiskeys.
Well, I mean, even today we see how the craft market
Has changed things,
it's
right?
changed things. So it's like you're not necessarily looking for that magic number. as far as the popularity goes.
But now, because of the bourbon boom that we're in, we're seeing more of whiskeys that are 100 plus. You know, those barrel, whiskeys.
Yeah, that's
small batch, single barrel.
They say all those things that don't really mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. But they're saying those things because they know that higher proof 100 plus whiskey is what people want.
Yeah, sure.
There's a reason why people are chasing down the doors for the latest single barrel or barrel proof of something.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you straight up, it is pretty damn good the higher up you go.
It can be. It can go too far, too.
Sure. Well, a good example is that barrel select of that Knob Creek I have.
That was like, what, 100?
120.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Plus?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I personally enjoy it, but most people I talk to, they're like, yeah, you got to add some water to that.
Yeah, and like the Heaven's Door that we had recently,
Yeah.
that's a 125.7. That's a pretty potent whiskey. And then even some Bookers that we see sometimes.
Oh, yeah, they're way up there.
Bookers that can be way up there. And I think there was a Elijah Craig barrel proof that they did a couple of years ago. I remember it being around 132. I mean, that's the highest I've ever.
Yeah, that's getting crazy.
I think if I remember, there's a limit too for bourbon. I don't think it can go past 136, 140.
Yeah,
I think we'll have to look that up.
Why don't we roll those data sheets?
We would know that if we were experts.
I actually do know it. I just like to leave that storytelling portion to my good friend here, Jeffrey.
So I thought today, since we are talking about 100 proof whiskeys,
Yeah.
we would bring some 100 proof whiskeys into the room and we would try them and compare them and see if we think one of these is kind of a superior 100 proof whiskey. So obviously, we're gonna have to use some of this smoke wagon.
Yeah, sure, for sure. I still have
Which
some.
I still
smoke
got
wagon.
some,
Yeah,
so we're good there.
I got that.
But I thought we would also introduce Cooper's Craft. It is another 100 proof whiskey, not a bottle and bond. So it's another one of those ones. It's the 100 proof. You notice it's interesting how they're putting these little wraps on there.
Yes.
Which is very same as what they used to do with a BIB stamp.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Again, then we'd also pull out some Knob Creek small batch. That's a big bottle.
Now, to be clear, this is not the Knob Creek I was referencing. Just
No, this is the standard small batch, but it is 100 proof.
Right.
And then I thought we'd try some Old Forester. Old Forester makes a ton of whiskey.
Yeah.
This too is not a bottled in bond. So none of these are an actual bottle and bond
But
100
still,
proof.
we're talking 100 proof here.
It's still 100 proof. And then this one, Old Forester is one of the few distilleries that was still producing whiskey even in the
Prohibition
era.
Yeah, this
So-
is medicinal whiskey,
So
right?
this is a medicinal whiskey.
Yeah, there we go.
So we'll try that too. So let's say we pour those up. We'll put them in front of us. We're not going to blind this one.
Yeah, sure.
We're not going to put any pressure. What we're going to try to do is see if there really is something to this 100 proof whiskey thing.
That sounds great. So let's go to a little quick edit and snap.
All right, so that was easy, wasn't it?
That was easy. That was magic. And here's my flight of 100 proof. So I
Okay.
have Cooper's,
So Cooper's on the inside,
Forester,
Forester, Knob Creek,
and of course our
Smoke
Yeah,
Wagon.
right.
Okay, so let's go for Cooper's.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we have to. Let's briefly nose it. That's just for the first one, maybe.
Totally, yeah, for sure. Now that's got a really pretty nose.
Super smooth.
Really pretty nose.
All right. So okay, before we drink, what exactly? Let's codify. What are we trying to achieve here?
Well, one, we're seeing if there's some even kill here. So are all 100 proofs seem to have the same? So we're saying 100 proof gives a higher robust flavor. So we're looking at flavor profiles. Are they very more robust, or do you feel it's subtle?
Right. The similarity. We're looking for similarities, or are we just like, hey, it's all over the place?
Yeah, or is it just really quiet? You know, if it's 100 plus, 100 proof is where we're starting to see whiskey really change its flavor. So let's see if we're seeing some of that. Does this feel like this is a subtle whiskey, or is this a strong whiskey?
And we're not taking into account age statement necessarily.
No, because age statements on all these are kind of all over the place. I'm sure this Old Forester is probably somewhere around a 2-year. I doubt it's much more than that. They're not putting age statements actually on any of these whiskeys today.
Yeah.
So none of these are age statement whiskeys.
We're probably still hitting the 4-year at the max, maybe.
2 to 4.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Okay. All right, so this is us tasting, and we're going to try to say, hey, yeah, there's the similarities. Does it give a
this
better...
reminds me of a 100 proof whiskey. And then maybe within that we'll say, hey, we kind of like this one better.
Okay.
We'll see which one you like better and which one I like better. All right, now let's go for Cooper's.
All right.
Now, there's a lot of fruity, sweet right on the front of that, right?
Oh yeah. All right.
All right, let's try it. Now, the bite's there.
Oh yeah.
The bite's there, right? Because we had a little bit of Cooper, a little bit of Smoke Wagon before we ever did this.
So
So,
the bite's there. It
Yeah.
comes down. It's settling in my chest.
yeah.
But I still have the explosions of flavors. Oh, by the way, probably those people that don't think that bourbons have explosions of flavors because they're Scotch drinkers, you're wrong.
That's right. Bourbons are atrocious. Listen, bourbon drinkers don't use the word atrocious.
They do not. And most bourbon drinkers actually do drink scotches as well.
That's right. There's a lot of great Scotch out there.
Okay.
All right, so let's go to the Old Forester. This is 100 proof. Now, on the nose, it's very comparable to the Coopers.
It's very similar already.
Yeah.
And the burn of the nose is not hard to me.
No. It's like when you start getting into 110s, 112s. That's
Yeah.
when you really starting to see
Yeah,
that.
this is still mild in my opinion.
Very mild. Okay, let's go in on this one. The burn's not as much.
No, that's a smoother drink.
A little bit smoother, but the overall explosion of flavor is very similar. But would you call this 100 proof? To me, this seems a little less than 100.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about it being 100 proof.
So I'm gonna just kind of pull it back a little bit.
All right,
I'm
do
having
it.
a hard time believing this is 100 proof. Sure. Okay, so let's go in on this Knob Creek. Now, you like Knob Creek.
I can't help it. I do.
I'm still, like I've said before a number of times, not a big fan of Knob Creek. Hey, Knob Creek, if you want to maybe send us some artesian olive oil samples and prove me wrong, we're always open to that.
Because I'm going to tell you what. The Knob Creek I got at my house, damn.
Now, that's a high proof.
Oh, you're drinking that neat. Oh. Okay, we're not going to have religious
Calm
experiences
down
here.
right now. We're hanging out in the 100 proofs
Okay,
today.
100
Remember, 100
proof.
proof.
All right, here we
It's a
go.
100 proof episode.
All right, I'm sorry. I get sidetracked. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, that smells great.
Now, the floral's not there like it was on the first two.
But it's the caramel, it's the
Lots of
vanilla,
oak.
it's the whole thing.
Heavy
the,
oak.
The cooked portion.
The heat's in a different place on that one. But once again, I feel like that Cooper. Wait.
It's good.
That's a slow heat. You see that?
That's
so
good.
The heat on the knob is more of a spread out slowly, whereas the Cooper was like kind of a.
Tasting notes have to be discussed for a second.
Okay.
Knob Creek is more peanutty.
Oh, hands down.
You know what I mean?
Knob Creek is very more nutty.
And so when you drink the high proof,
That comes out a little.
that high proof comes, and then as that alcohol kind of pulls away, it leaves you that flavor.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's why I like high proofs actually. It's
Why is
because
that?
you get that delivery that leaves it there, and then as the hug and the sting goes away, it lays down onto your palate those flavors. So it's like it's no guesswork.
So you're saying 100 proof may actually 100 plus proof may be sticking more.
Oh,
So you think the
I think
tannin
so.
is stronger in 100 proof, so that allows that oils to kind of hang out and fester.
Obviously, we've drank a lot of low-proofed beverages.
We've been all over the place with drinking.
Yeah, and unless it's something extremely oily within the low proofs, it doesn't last very
It
long.
just dissipates pretty quick. The alcohol burns off really fast, and it's left with what was left on the palate.
And you're always going, well, let me try it again.
Yeah,
Let me try it again.
yeah, that's true. And 100 proofs, 100 proof and plus, they tend to kind of stick a little bit longer. Now, remember though, these are not whiskeys that maybe have sat in the, have not sat around in the barrel that long.
But damn it, that was good. I like that one. Let's do that again.
Now let's go to the what is the current king right now of craft whiskeys.
Okay. Smoke Wagon.
Okay, this is crazy, right? We're gonna talk about this more on the second pour. But I have to bring this up.
No, you can't. It's against the
I
rules.
gotta bring this one little piece of. It's like, okay, fine, I won't. But when we do second pour this week, you better check in and see what I just picked up, because when you're comparing whiskeys, this stands out with this one significant note. So
Okay.
this gets me all giggly about Smoke
All right,
Wagon.
let's drink it.
All right,
let's do it.
drink
Let's do it.
Okay, hey, what's that over there? Do you see that over there on the end of the table?
Don't you steal my...
not even effing around right now. Okay, there's a significant jump when it comes to Smoke Wagon. I'm telling you, this is a significant jump. Okay, so now if this is 100 proof,
Yeah.
and this is 100 proof, there's a 20 proof difference as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah. No. So I think this is something that we're discussing and we're finding.
Yeah,
The quality of the proof.
makes a much of a difference as the proof itself.
Yeah. Just the alcohol content.
Yeah.
Standalone is not enough.
No, there's more going on there.
Because I'm a Knob Creek fan.
Yeah,
Okay,
of
so
course.
I'm disclosing my fanboys.
Okay.
Smoke Wagon's better tasting. but what I will say this much is
Yeah.
it's the flavor palettes on Smoke Wagon I am preferring over the Knob Creek.
Yeah, because there's a lot going on there.
However, what I'm saying is between these two, they are achieving it, I feel like, delivery in the same way.
So it would be kind of like this.
Even
to
the
me.
Cooper,
So it would
really,
be
I mean.
like, here's Smoke Wagon, right? And here is Knob Creek, and then Cooper's is just kind of like right there, kind of with it. But then these guys, let's kind of do this here. These guys are kind of feel like they're back here.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, there's two things you can get out of this. One is not all 100 proofs are measured the
Yeah.
same when it comes to just the proofing. So you can't just use the above proof, below proof, what we used to do.
And what we're talking about here is not absolute scientific.
This is
It's very objective.
highly objective.
But at the same time, we joke about being professionals, which we are. But the thing is, the truth of it is either way, no matter whether we're professionals or not, we've had a lot of whiskey.
We have
And so our objective views are based on a
history of
huge
yeah.
back catalog of whiskey.
And here's what I would tell you: if you're going out and buying 100 proof whiskeys,
Yeah.
don't just base it on the proof. So like, if you're like, I'm gonna buy that because it's 100 proof.
Yeah, that's right. No.
Don't
You're going
do
the
that.
wrong way.
You're going the wrong way with this. So don't fall prey to the, we have 100 proof whiskey, you should jump on it.
Now, what I'm going to tell you straight up, though, this is going to throw a kink in the work. That old Forester's not bad. That's actually pretty damn good.
It's a good whiskey for,
It's-
this is only 20 bucks.
The only problem is it's just stacked up against some King Kong of whiskeys right now.
Yeah.
With what we got lined out. And there's a reason why that craft whiskey is doing so well.
so well. What about you? Do you tend to gravitate toward 100 proof whiskeys? Or have you found the 100 plus is where you really hang out? Or do you still have some 80 proof, 90 proof whiskeys that you just love that you would say destroy, decimate 100 proof whiskeys?
As well as, I ask seriously, does the higher content of the alcohol create a barrier because you just can't enjoy it past the burn, past the sting?
That's a lot of people say that. They're like, I can't handle whiskey in general because it's just too harsh.
I dare say, if you just go on the journey with us and you do the tastings we do, you try the things we're talking about, when you get to the end and you're like, I'm on that 100 proof moment, you're gonna find out it's a smooth drinking thing.
I mean, no matter how you look at this is a fun journey to take because there's so much of a little bit of flavor note jumping around, but there's so much similarity between all four of these.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of crazy, and so you wouldn't expect it, but then there's some stuff that just really
Comes out good.
way out in the front.
So be sure to like, subscribe, and ding my dong if you know what I'm saying.
And be sure to go check us on our Facebook group page too. We can talk more about 100 plus whiskeys or your favorite 100 proof whiskey. Go over there and write down or comment below what your favorite 100 proof whiskey is.
And thanks to all of y'all who've already bought our t-shirts. And remember that actually we are now scraping the bottom of the barrel.
There's not very many shirts left. If you want a shirt, there are a few left. We may make some more at the beginning of next year. But this is going to be it for 2021.
Yeah, it's going to be the end.
2022, we're going to knock out some more new stuff you guys should love. And sometime next year, we might be talking about starting our Patreon side off. So if you join Patreon, you might run a chance of getting one of the other shirts. But these original shirts,
Oh, yeah.
there's only going to be one of those. So jump in, get one while you can.
Oh, and I have the ability to make shrinky dinks. Just saying.
Shrinky dinks.
So,
So in the meantime,
whiskey pop shrinky dink up.
you guys cheers. Have a great week.